And then click the record button again and say, yo, what up? Welcome back, everybody, to another, it's tier list time. It's tier list time, just in time for the Albuquerque Regional. This past weekend, at time of recording, we had the UK Regional happen. In this season, we've had the Denver Regional, so we've had 2 regionals happen, and so tier list is a little late, but I still wanted to try and get it out. A couple things that are changing when it comes to these top 30 tier lists. Number one, I am no longer going to be doing the before the video pre what does the community think poll survey that goes out. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, the community was very split on their opinions and thoughts, which I think is okay, but it made it hard to have a narrative of my thoughts versus their thoughts when things were so wild. And number two, honestly, it just takes a lot of time to develop my thoughts on these tier lists, as well as then get the thoughts of the community and then compile all that data and yada, 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 so on, so on, so on. And so, like, it was because of the community tier list, it would take me a longer time to get these out. And so I thought it was just would be more impactful and fun for me personally if I just gave my top 30 thoughts and do something a little different, a little special for the community ones, which if you are watching the video right now in my Twitch stream, you can type in !my top 30. You will be sent to a link where you can vote on your top 30 tier list, just like I am doing here. And so with that said, let's go ahead and let's rock it. UnIVersus top 30 Albuquerque regional tier list. And so the big thing about this tier list is there's no Attack on Titan 3. The big update that we have is that we have added the Heroes of Exandria characters into our tier list. They are the newcomers. They're the people to be on the list. And so let's talk about my top 30 and who we think we're going to see. I think I need to make myself just a wee bit smaller. So we're gonna do that real fast. We'll do this. And then we can come here and make you guys even bigger. Crushing it. You look absolutely beautiful. Okay. So in my 30th spot, I have Bertolt Hoover, Living Weapon. I think that in classic UnIVersus style, as soon as an attack, or as soon as a character gets hit with a nerf, with an errata, with something, people instantly jump and abandon ship off of the character. I think Bert is still a very good 5-hand size character that gives +2 damage on all his moves. He filters out his stage, and then eventually, if the game gets a little too long, resets the board once somebody has 11 foundations, and then is kind of an unstoppable killing machine after that of playing a bunch of moves, drawing a bunch of cards, so on and so on and so on. The backside of Bert Colossus Titan Advancing is insane as a character card. It's crazy. It's crazy. The biggest thing that Bert now is limited to is he doesn't have this free damage reduction that is on his character, and the fact that if he does on his rival's turn draw 2 cards, discard 2 of the same, he's actually helping your rival kill him. And so defensively, this character is not very good. In fact, he's actively bad and harmful to himself, but offensively, if this guy has so much draw power, and there's so much draw power associated on these 2 symbols that he can just, if he wants to find a card in his deck, he's just gonna find it. And I think that consistency, along with the +2 damage, is just a thing that people are being slept on. And so the reason I have him so down far so low is because I'm not seeing a lot of moves and waves with this character, and so I have him at 30th. From there, 29th, you know him, you love him, I love him. Mechagodzilla Bionic Menace. I think that this character is still absolutely crazy, and we have added some pretty intense tools into his kit in the form of things like Violent Animus Shot. I think with this character is so nutty as a 6 high for 7 that if you let it hit you, randomly gets a card out of your hand. The Fire and Order symbol pump out so much damage and stun. It's really, really strong. And then just the void symbol's ability to make you discard cards out of your hand is so good right now. It's so good. That hand disruption, that hand tax, that Bionic Menace gets to have. I am a massive fan of this character, but I think that this character, kind of in the same idea as Bert, on defense, I think the response commit after you take damage from an attack, selectively commit one of their foundations, is just not enough to save you if your rival is a little bit more aggressive than you. And as we get higher up, you're going to see that the characters that are higher on the list are just better at executing the game plan if everything is going their way than what Bionic Menace has got going on. 28th, I've got Caduceus Clay, Insightful Caretaker. This character, 5 hand size, 34 health, that can gain 4 health every turn cycle at commit cost, is just a big brick wall. If this guy gets set up even a little bit, he is abysmal to try and kill. Not to mention the once per turn, this deck gets minus speed equal to the number of backups in your stage plus 2. So just for free -2 speed, which says that my 34 health character that gains 4 health is allowed to free block at least once per turn. And then if I have a bunch of backups, I get to draw a card. And if you don't want me to draw the card twice per turn cycle, making me a 7-hander, right? Once on my turn, once on your turn, you have to swing at my backups. And that means if you're swinging at my backups, you're not attacking me, which means that I have even more potential health. The amount of health that this character, the health pool that Caduceus has access to is so large, combined with, because he's allowed to play so slow, his Death Rattle combos are insane of him just like, oh, I'm going to play all the party backups, and then I'm going to burn you for 7 on this 7 high for 7. That's going to get even more damage. Oh, I'm going to play Harness Undeath to burn you again for all of, like it's so much. His issue that I have with him is he's just a 5-hander that is a little slow to get started. The amount of, for him to start drawing cards, he has to get a little lucky, and his stage has to be curated correctly. And if he's got backups early, that means he doesn't have foundations, which means he doesn't get to defend himself, and yada, 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 yada. But I do think that Clay has legs. I think Clay can see some success. If you told me that Caduceus topped in Albuquerque, squeaking in at 7th or 8th, I would not be surprised. He had a good run. He had a good day. He found the pieces that he need. But there it is. 27th, I've got Reiner Braun Warrior. I have been a massive fan of Reiner Braun Warrior for the longest time. Pretty much since I've seen the character. His really wacky way to have to be Ghidorah shaped of you have to kill me twice. You cannot find effectively the 34 health bomb of a slam that is from 34 to 0 is very cool. Combined with, I think that his game plan is really neat of wanting to have a bunch of different card types in the stage, and then once you've flipped, giving +3, +3, +4, +4 to all of your moves is really, really devastating. My issue is because that we are trying to play the rainbow deck, we are a little inconsistent with how many foundations I have. I need foundations to play out attacks, and unlike what we saw with Caduceus, with him wanting to play, also the backups, Reiner doesn't have that defensive ability outside of I have a second small life total to work through. So cool aggro character, but sometimes I think the consistency just isn't there. If your rival is good at disrupting your game plan, even a little bit, I think Reiner kind of falls to the wayside. At least that's what I've had inside of my experience. But I think that a running hot Reiner can win a tournament. Absolutely. If you just find your lethal slashes and you find your defeating the Colossus Titans and you check well enough, I think this guy can just kill pretty much anybody in the game. But again, that consistency issue is the reason I have him down all the way at 27th. Up next, I've got Scanlan Shorthalt, Duvious Troubadour. This is interesting, and this might be a little biased because having watched the amount of advantage that this little guy gets is kind of crazy. The symbol combination that the Earth symbol and then Chaos and Order Attuned has for defense is really surprisingly good. And the fact that his Enhance lets you pick up action cards from your discard pile is very strong. Once per turn, Tenacious, after you play an action card, build the top card of your deck face down, is very good for faking this 5-hander, as well as the enhanced commit select, like you find a non-attack card on top. So if I reveal an action, I go grab an action out of a discard pile. And a lot of times the way that these Scanlan decks are working, the action card just grabs you an attack. It's very, very interesting to see this character pop off. And when I saw his character card, I couldn't see the pieces all meshing together. But I think in the same way that we talked about Caduceus as a way to, as a slow, methodical wall build-up deck, and then find a big swing later, I think Scanlan does it, but just like a little bit better and like a little different of a way. And just like really locks you in prison and then ekes out the win. I think my biggest issue with Scanlan, though, is that he is a little slow to get started. Scanlan can't kill you on turn 2. It's just not happening. It can happen like 0.00001% of the time. And the format right now is asking how much damage can you output on turn 2, or how much damage can you stave off on turn 2. And the answer is he can do half of that equation, just he can't do the other half. And a lot of the best decks can just do both if it's necessary. 25th, I've got Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo has fallen quite a bit in my personal opinion. And the reason that I feel this way is because I think that Bakugo is very good versus characters who are not drawing a ton, where they are taking and they're putting their advantage on the pieces with stats rather than as cards in hand. I have seen so many characters that are further up on the list be their printed hand size, play out their printed hand size, and end with their printed hand size. Like, I'm a 7-hander that I'll play 7 cards and I'll end with 7 cards, and I'll be like, your turn. Bakugo is not a very good character to stop that, but at the same time, he has enough discard, specifically under the Void symbol and Void Attuned, that I think that if you are not going crazy with the draw heavy, I'm going to draw my entire deck into my hand and then play from there, I think Bakugo has a pretty good chance to try and kill you. As well as Sweeping Daggers randomly has Fury under all 3 of these symbols. And so Sweeping Daggers Bakugo has got to be something. It is a Fury that can get stats from Bakugo. It's already a 5 for 4, so 5 for normally 6. That just becomes the best move that you have. I think there's probably some unexplored area with what Bakugo's got going on that I personally have not done the looking, but when I just like look at the shape of what this character can do, I think it's going to be very good. With that said, under 2 of his symbols, we did lose Combined Firepower, played out of the discard pile, but at the same time, I don't think that this character necessarily needed that card in order to make his moves happen. But there's something here with Bakugo, but again, I am nervous about the amount of card draw that's at the upper echelon of the list. Up next, 24th, I've got Jester Lavore, Prankster Priestess. This character was already good before. I think with the addition of the amount of spells that she has access to, she's only gotten better. And I think the only reason that she is not higher up on this tier list is because I think that nobody has really put the dedicated time into her to find what the best spell deck is. I know my personal opinion is, like, I've been playing this really neat backup centric Harness Undeath that I get to pick them up, and like the goal is I've got 8 momentum, and so I get to play 8 Harness Undeaths as I loop and do the thing. But it takes a little bit to build up, and drawing's a little tough. And the biggest issue that Jester has and has always had is that she gives my rival a momentum. And I think right now, and as always, momentum is such a premier resource that if you give my rival a momentum, they're just gonna kill you for it. It is so hard to just gift your rival a momentum and then not be like, oh, I guess I will turn this into +4 damage for free accidentally. And so if you can figure out as Jester how to survive giving them the momentum, I think the spell options that you have available to you, like the next thing that I'm gonna try, spoilers, is what does 4x Lightning Blast Jester look like? where a Lightning Blast is a crazy card that's always like a 6 low for 10. Imagine that Jester just gets to pick them up every single turn. 6 low 10, 6 low 10, 6 low 10, 6 low 10. And anytime that I hit with one, I just get to spin the momentum and to pick it back up and play it again. I just always have Lightning Blast in my hand. Always, always, always. Eventually, I will kill you for it. Jester just gets to do that on every single move. Imagine every momentum is an attack card. It's so good. As well as having 51 health. This character is good. The issue is I think, again, the upper echelon just kind of eke her out because of the momentum that she gives them. 23rd, I've got Allura. In this format that we have right now, tall attacks are the name of the game. 1 or 2 moves that are really high impact, really big, slam you and get the job done. And Allura is really good at fighting that. I will seal this attack, and then when you play your next and final move, I get +3 to try and block it. Is very potent, very strong. As well as removing actions from your card pool to steal yourself momentum feels very good. Very similar to what Jester was doing with her momentum generation. But again, it is not symmetrical. It is asymmetrical. I get the momentum and clear the progressive. You don't get anything. She did lose a little bit of potency when we lost combined firepower. Being able to play a combined firepower out of the discard pile and then remove it on the next attack to then trigger my combined and then play it out again. But I don't think that this means that the character is dead by any means. I think it means that the void symbol's a little softer, but I think Chaos and Life has a lot to be explored. The only issue that I think Allura has as a character is how do you kill people? How can I get the job done? And the answer is just the way that you shift that question is, how do I utilize this momentum that I'm generating for free to the best of my ability? Powerfuls, echoes, EXs can all facilitate that, but you have to do the heavy lifting inside your deck, which means it can be a little inconsistent of, oh, did I draw the thing that I need to kill you on this kill turn, rather than your character pumping a bunch of stats, which, you know, is always pretty good. 22nd, I've got Paul Phoenix. Paul Phoenix, it feels like every tier list is always like it in 22nd. Discard a card for stun 2 is very strong, especially the amount of if discarded redraw to keep the engine rolling, as well as once per turn you are indiscriminate shock for my old heads, or pressing the advantage, the other 2 check from AOT of just like my puncher kick gets a damage for each of your committed foundations, and it's so easy right now to just commit out their entire board. Having 2 symbols with Patchwork Baby, yes, I know it is not a punch or a kick, but as an opener, this is a stun 4 5 mid for 5 that is very, very good at just like turning my rival's board sideways, even if they didn't help me and turn their board sideways themselves. This character is just very, very good at making your foundations useless. Play a couple moves and then find a kill condition. That combined with the fact that Attack Titan Tandmaker does do that for us, right? It can be both the opener and the finisher. It is a stun 2, and then can wear that big push. There's a lot of stuff that Paul has going for him, but if you look at his character again, he's got no defense. He's got to find it in his stage, and the answer is normally he just doesn't. He just doesn't. And so if you can find 29 before he can find X, Paul is going to falter. But realize you have to be able to do this. You have to be able to survive Paul without your board. If you can figure out how to do that, Paul's a pretty easy egg to crack. And then lastly, at 21st, I've got Grog, Strongjaw, Mighty Half Giant. Grog has not put up the results. So character to results has not been there. And I think, again, the reason is, as we talk all the way back, the format that we have right now is very tall. I'm sending one really impactful move, a bunch of little moves, but one really impactful move. Hey, here's a 20 for 20 that is slinging your way. And that is not what Grog wants to fight. Grog wants to fight the ponies of the world. Grog wants to fight I'm going to stay very low to the ground. I'm going to see how many moves that I can play, have as much card advantage as possible, and play a bunch of moves over and over and over again that are all for printed. And that is not the format that we're living in. I think that I have Grog as high as I do because I think that this character is very good in pretty much every sideboard that is playing a normal game plan. I can just take Grog and put him in my sideboard, swap him out in specific matchups. Like again, my example was Pony. I don't know what Pony does against Grog, right? I normally play 10 moves and they all do roughly 5 damage. You gotta deal with them. Well, now I have to do 20 moves because all those 5 damage moves now did 3 damage because of Grog's ability to just reduce the damage that we take. Like I think that Grog is very favored in some of the matchups in the top tiers, but is really unfavored in a lot of the other ones. Like chat's saying, like Nick and Devil Jin just eat Grog alive. It's very, very hard for Grog to fight those characters. And so with that said, I don't think he's here for the main board. I think he's here for the sideboard. I think he's got really, really swingy matchups depending on what your rival faces. And so for that reason, as cool as he is, as thematic as he is, I just don't think he's very good in the format right now. And so that is my bottom third of the tier list so far. 21st, Grog, Paul, Laura, Jester, Prankster Priestess, Katsu Bakugo 4, Scanlan, Reiner Warrior, Caduceus, Godzilla, or Mecha Godzilla Bionic Menace, and then Bert Living Weapon. There you go. Moving on to 20th, I've got Smiling Titan. I think Smiling Titan is kind of in the exact opposite idea of Grog, and let me explain. So Grog's like whole defensive identity is wanting to fight and play big long strings, whereas Smiling does the exact opposite, where I like for the first like almost 5 turns of the game, at max you can play 2 attacks a turn, right? The first turn you actually normally build on your first attacking turn, so that on the next attacking turn you play this really massive move that is very fast, that is unblockably fast, and does a third of your life total. And on the following turn you can play 1, and if you get lucky maybe play a second one on the, and so like you kind of scale up your attacks based on the number. But if you can deal with this really tall attack once per turn, like an Allura, like a speed reset, Smiling Titan is kind of dead in the water and has to have a ton of defense in the stage in order to stay alive. But with that said, all these 4-check attacks, they've got a ton of great block modifiers. Like it is super possible that you can play your way out with Smiling Titan. But I think that if your rival is ready to deal with this really tall list, Smiling just sits there and smiles at you rather than is playing a competitive back and forth game with you. With that said, the advantage of Smiling going first is like so incredible. I think going second as Smiling is significantly worse, like maybe even worse than most other matchups. But with that said, if Smiling gets ahead of you because of the shape of what the 4-checks can look like with the amount of D-building or whatever, if she can snowball and find a win pretty easily if you let her. So if you're not prepared for Smiling, she'll eat your lunch money. But if you are prepared for Smiling, it can be a bit of an uphill battle. 19th, I've got Reiner Braun. Honestly, the UK really pushed this guy from the past weekend. Watching this list sit there and durdle and make my rival absolutely be punished due to a little bit of poor luck and a little bit of an aggressive temper. I think that Reiner is very cool. I forgot to put Reiner at the second side. He's a transforming character. I forgot to do it. My bad. The amount of foundation destruction this character is allowed to have on the backside, the amount of ruining that he does is just a lot, as well as the amount of damage reduction that we have on the front side. 9 times out of 10, we want to transform as soon as possible because, again, the format is having very tall attacks. And as long as I can find a momentum, enhance commit, put a thing's damage down to 1 is really potent in saving your life. 34 health is quite a tall order to get through, especially early if you're stringing out with a -2 damage. This guy's just got a lot of, depending on how he wants to play, has answers to both halves of the format of the wide attack strings or the really tall attack strings. And so for that reason, I have got Reiner here. I think the biggest issue that I have with Reiner is he's really good at being annoying, which Foundation Destruction is toxic and annoying and tough to deal with, especially if you get a little unlucky with like your turn 2 building options. You want to just build out massive against this character, and if you get a little unlucky there, he'll just run over you. But Reiner is a perfect example of a bit of a wet noodle when it comes to actually attacking back, because his moves only ever get the +2 damage, which is not the tall meta that we're living in. He's just good at fighting the tall meta. He wants to play a wide meta, which is how many moves can I give +2 to? And the answer is, if you're playing the explosive foundation destruction stuff, not many. Not many. It's back to Smiling Titan of, I'm going to play 1 or 2 attacks a turn, and that's at the end of the game. But yeah, you got to have a ton of foundations as Reiner, and sometimes you just want to explode before that happens. So 19th. And 18th, I've got Crystal Lens. This character is a character that I absolutely have slept on. I think that her ability to give things stun by removing wall counters is very good. There are a ton of things in the game that say discard a card to do a thing. I think her having access to don't do this really pushes this character up and over into an upper echelon. The issue is there's a character higher up on the tier list that does the thing that Krista was doing and wants to do significantly better and more consistent than what Krista is doing. I think the biggest thing that Krista has on her plate is the fact that she gets to choose a card in my rival's discard pile and stacks it on top of their deck, which 9 times out of 10 was the worst aspect of her character card. But the fact that she can go dig out of her deck to put an answer that she needs on top of her deck and then redraw is good, but it is not as good as the later example that we're going to have higher up on the tier list, which we'll talk about Krista when we do the comparison there. 17th, I've got Jean Kirstein. Jean is, if you think VME is good, this is a VME that cannot be hackered. This is a VME that cannot be negated. Asterisks. This VME is very, very good, as well as this is a VME that if your deck is built properly, you get to generate your own momentum for what this character wants to do. Not to mention 6 hand size, 33 health with a minus speed and zone change ability. This character is very, very hardy. It's super hard to kill this character if he does not want to be killed. And the fact that whenever it is time for us to be explosive and go on the offensive, I'm going to have the momentum generation to give now +3 and zone check you. There's really 2 easy ways to play this character: all defense into all attacks, and then off to the races. At 16th, I've got Byakuo, a character that is doing this is a bit of a luck of the draw kind of character that is getting the X damage for the printed difficulty on either foundation in the stage is very good. Like giving randomly +5 damage is really strong, but the defense is a little easy to see coming in the form of referee jury. And if you have a way to interact with referee jury, Byakuo's 38 health kind of melts a little bit, because I think a lot of the power of people's higher up on the tier list are not coming from their stage necessarily, but is coming from other things. But with that said, I think stacking a card from the top of your deck is very good. 38 health is a mountain to get through, and I think that Byakuo very easily gatekeeps a lot of characters, but I'm not 100% positive that that he has what it takes to go and win a tournament. If you told me Byakuo, again, got into top 8, I'd be like, that makes total sense. But like the top 10 characters, I think, kind of eat this guy's lunch money, which is why he is so low. For the next one, guys, be chill. Oh, sorry, this one after this. 15th, I've got Sasha Blau's Food Fanatic. The amount of card draw that this character generates is a ton. The only issue that we have is that the cards from your stage go into your momentum, so you're changing one resource for another, but the goal is for it to be an asset so you don't lose your check power, and then you draw extra cards out of it. So you use the asset and then get the bonus. And then the amount of damage that this character can put out, the amount of inevitability this character puts out is so good. It's so good. Of just, I'm going to spend, when it's time for speed, I discard the card and I give it a bunch of speed. When it's time for damage, I discard the card and give it a bunch of damage. It's really, really strong. 14th, I've got Beast Titan, and this is the one I was prepped for. Guys, I think it's Beast Titan's time. The amount of card draw that this character has, the amount of advantage that this character generates is actually crazy. His biggest issue is that he can be rushed down pretty significantly by the people that are above him on turn 2. I think this character is very, very good. The amount of drawing that comes in and out of your stage due to the backups, the fact that the world's winning deck. The world's winning deck was a Hanji list that wanted to play and loop Beast Titan attacks over and over and over again. He gets to do it a full turn cycle faster. I open Beast Titan attacks, it builds down, I pick up another Beast Titan attacks, I play Beast Titan attacks, and I get to play 2 of them essentially every turn. Like, it's so fast. It's so good. Beast Titan is strong, but again, I think he's got some pretty tough matchups, which is why he's not higher up in the tier list. You got to figure out how to fight those. At 13th, I've got Godzilla. I think Godzilla took a massive hit with rotation. I think the Award the Victor loop was so important for the King of the Monsters game plan that the fact that we now don't have that, that ability to guarantee if I connect with a big heavy move, the third big heavy move, I automatically draw one and then re-slam one back down. It's a little tough. With that said, I think that the issue might be that there's not enough exploration on the earth or water symbols now, because there's probably like we had a Godzilla and Denver that was on a win in, I believe, on the earth symbol. So chaos is like the thing that I keep looking at and I see other people's looking at, but I don't think that it's going to be the correct choice moving forward. I think it's going to be earth or water that is going to probably get the King of Monsters back into a top cut position, until maybe AOT3 brings us something. But for Albuquerque, I think that 13th is a fair spot for this character until I see a little bit more from him. In 12th, I've got Elder Toguro, and it was very hard for me not to put Toguro into top 10, just because of how malleable, pun intended, and versatile, pun intended, and shape-shifting, pun obvious, his game plan is allowed to be. He's playable under all 3 of his symbols. He can be an aggressive deck. He can be a defensive deck. He can be a combo deck. He can truly be whatever he wants to be because of that form once per turn. Discard a non-foundation, slam whatever you want out of your discard pile. He's got 2 symbols with True 100%, which is just like a genuinely insane power card right now, both on offense and for Toguro on defense. If your character is mono-statted, if I'm very focused on speed, I can use Togoro's swap to swap it and block your moves that you didn't want me to block. If your character is mono-focused on damage, I can swap it when I can't block, and I can make your 8, 9, 10 damage moves now for 3. And so the amount of versatility this guy has on surviving is really high, and he is a build your own win condition. I think the biggest thing that Elder Toguro is going to struggle with is not necessarily in playing the game, but is going to be in the deck building strain of what cards do I put in my list? What cards do I not? What symbol am I supposed to play this guy under? I am not 100% positive. That is the biggest thing that Elder Toguro is going to have. And I don't know if there's going to be enough brains in the community, enough bodies in the community, a number of people in the community working and grinding on Elder Toguro to push him out of the middle tier here. And then in my 11th spot, I've got Not the Brave Chaotic Meddler. The amount of speed that this character gets for essentially playing the game for free is so good. And because of these very tall moves, resets are the name of the game, really high impact resets. And so the enhance your turn, your rival mills to selectively seal one of their foundations is so strong whenever if they commit out and they miss, you get to take and turn off their best pieces, which is, I saw, I believe it was Zahal, if I see Not above Sasha. I think that Not is better because I think speed is the name of the game right now. And the fact that we also get foundation disruption in the form of selectively sealing the things, that's the reason that I put it above. With that said, on a chaos deck, as long as you're not mixing too many Attune stuff, you easily could like toss into each other. But I think this character is very, very strong, and I think not enough. Again, same thing with Toguro. I think just like not enough people are really diving into this character outside of they saw the enhance your turn, your rival mills too, and they went, oh my goodness, Not's a mill deck. Not's not a mill deck. Not's a I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna beat your ass deck. And the bottom response almost never happens. We just don't care about it. We're a 7-hander that I'm allowed to play defense with this inevitable game plan of all my moves are going to get +6, +7, +8 speed eventually. And then I find a big powerful dump to pop it off. And so there it is. There is the second tier Um, Obviously, as always with these tier lists, the middle tier was just like the hardest to make. It's funny. I put it here. I put it here, but I did put it on the other side. Hilarious. But there it is in the comments. Get below. Hey, your tiers suck. Let me know. But in 10th place, moving on, I've got Tyrion Darrington, naive creator. Man, talk about a character that gets a ton of advantage for free, essentially. Spending X momentum, X is allowed to be 0, is such a huge boon. I think this character drops off the tier list almost entirely as soon as you take this last line of text off his character of X may be 0. I think it just instantly leaves the tier list, maybe it's 31st. But combining the ability to just build in assets for free and then committing them for minus speed is essentially what the Mimic game plan was before, except for he turns every single asset into trigger. It's so strong. Combining this with the ability to build in Badgie under the Order Attuned, I believe. He has some actual damage output on the moves that aren't his kill condition. As well as a ton of other tricks, like being able to like drop airdrop in double item boxes on turns, or airdrop in extra disruptive or defensive things. I think that Tyrion has got a lot going for him, and it's very, very cool. The only issue, and the reason this guy is so low, is sometimes he does get asset clogged, and if his assets are too low of difficulty to both play them, get in the stage, and then commit them for minus speed in the early turns of the game, because of the lack of foundation that he has, he can't actually pass the blocks to reestablish a board and / or defend himself and / or push for some real advantage. And so a Tyrion that like finds the pieces in the order that he is supposed to find them inside the game is one of the scariest characters that you can play against, whenever all of the moves are churning properly. But like watching a Tyrion draw 3 difficulty assets and then an action and then like 2 attacks, you go, this is average. I shuffle it back and I redraw, and it's more assets, no foundations, and I go, I won't be able to play the game because I can't pass checks because I don't have enough great cards. So finding that ratio is going to be important, and getting a little lucky on the draw is important. In 9th place, I've got King Ghidorah. All the way back, I talked about the fact that Bakugo has this really impactful discard outlet, idea, and I think King Ghidorah plays it even better and has that Reiner Braun identity of, you gotta kill me 3 times. You can't have this one really tall move. You gotta have the really wide moves as well. And so King Ghidorah is going to be very high impact, I think. It's really, really strong. And again, same thing with like Elder Togoro. He's got 3 incredibly impactful symbols. I never know when I sit down against a Ghidorah what symbol it's going to be on. What do I have to plan for? What do I have to prepare for? What one-ofs of in the inside of the game is he allowed to just randomly rip out of his discard pile and just replay against you? He's got Irwin's Final Charge attuned on the death symbol. So if you ever see one of those in the discard pile, it's just all shields up. I'm so nervous to fight against that card. It's so scary. But I think that Ghidorahs with a game plan, I think, are very, very scary to play against right now. And at the same time, you are still allowed to play the I'm going to stick you in prison Ghidorah decks that are going to sit there and dirtle and do nothing. And if your deck doesn't have anything to do to fight what Ghidorah's got going on, you'll just lose the game like everybody else. Up next, I've got Izoku Midoriya on the move. Yes, your combo pieces got weaker, but yes, people's defenses against those combo pieces got weaker. And so I actually think that the war of attrition between one-hit Midoriya and stopping one-hit Midoriya did this rather than this at all. I think it stayed exactly the same, with the added benefit now of there are some better options because there are 2 more attuned symbols that have come out for this character under Void and Water that we get access to. We get access to some interesting throws and some discard outlets and so on and so forth. And I think there's a lot of really cool things that Midoriya can do that maybe shifts him a little away from what the one-hit KO Midoriya is doing, and maybe that is a piece of the puzzle and not necessarily the piece of the puzzle that we can do, finding some sort of a hybrid with Midoriya. But again, like with a lot of these top 10 characters, there are some characters in the game that, like, you sit down across from Midoriya and you go, oh, I just can't beat what you're gonna do if you find the pieces to do it. The inevitability of what Midoriya's got going on is just crazy. His worst matchup in the game is just Ghidorah, and if you're a good Midoriya player, you can just do it 3 times and still defend yourself. It's very strong. In 7th place, we have our EU regional winning deck in Ymir. I think this character is very strong. It lost a piece in Immortal Shapeshifter, but if you allow Ymir to shift and transform to the backside, and they have had any amount of health loss, they are just going to absolutely murder you. Immortal Shapeshifter was a win more card aggressively for Ymir, and was a survivability piece under the life symbol with the recuperation time and I can never remember the 3 diff. Recoup time, and it's not a moment of rest. Chat will help me out. But that little engine to help with survivability, we just ignore that and then focus purely on the offensive aspect of what this character, this 7 hand size, 23 health character that gives a ton of stats, builds extra foundations on the turn that we're going to kill you. The consistency this character has, I mean, this character is just like overly statted, and I think was falling on a crutch of what the life defensive package was doing, rather than the I'm just going to kill you with a bunch of really impactful moves, such as we saw over the weekend, Lethal Slash in this character was crazy. If we thought 4 damage for free was insane, try 6, 7, 8, 9 damage, and they were 5 high for whatever they are. So cool to watch the character pop off. But with that said, I think with the more aggressive slanted Ymir, sometimes if you get a little unlucky and you don't find that initial burst of the consistency of the attacking string, I think that 23 without the real defensive ideas is still a little tough. But if you get lucky, you just get to run through them. In 6th place on my tier list, I've got Pony Tsunotori. Very similarly shaped to what Ymir is doing, but I think the Pony gets to edge out just a little bit because we do have a lot of really potent defense printed on face of discard 2 cards, grab my 2 horde counters, redraw a card. There is, when I talked about Paul, there is so much if discard redraw that exists in the game right now that Pony does not feel like I'm actually losing a resource for this, as well as +2 speed, or more importantly -2 speed on defense is really good. We only have 1 less health than what Ymir has, and a character that instead of with Mists of Despair making cards not counter progressive, in Ymir's case, we have Pony who just clears them out of the card pool at such a low cost of 3 horn counters. This character finds 6 horn counters going into her turn. She's just going to kill you with the amount of moves that she can do, and if she doesn't, she's got -2 speed and zone changing on every move that she could possibly want. This character is very, very potent. I am so incredibly surprised that this character has fallen off of public opinion after the Earth symbol was gone. I think the answer is, guys, you just got to change symbols. I think the air symbol is incredible, and people should be exploring what the fire symbol can do. This character is very, very strong. It's very, very potent. Everybody should be prepared for Pony to show up to Albuquerque. If Pony went Albuquerque, I would not be surprised. Up next, we've got Hanzoi 4 Eyes, your world's winning deck. We just saw it have an incredible run at the at EU regionals, pushing all the way up to 3rd place? Question mark? No, 4th place technically. This character is very strong. Giving +3 or -3 damage is very good. It takes these really tall decks that are giving these 3-4 damage, 3-4-5 damage, and saying, hey, the damage bomb actually didn't really happen, and I'm gonna build this card out of my stage. As well as this character is allowed to play some really obnoxious offensive lines. We've seen the 4 check package be really good in Hanj, all the way back in Denver with combined firepower in the deck, which I think that you're allowed to get away from that line and still play very similar ideas. You're allowed to play a 4 difficulty package and string out nice and wide because of the rebuild +3 damage on -3 damage on your moves. This character just has a ton of health, is a 7 hand size character like the last 2 that is allowed to play it. There's so many, like with Elder, there's so many different ways that you can play this character as a 7 hand size character that it's tough to see what is the real shape of what Hanji has got going on. that I think this character is so versatile that I think that it's very easy to see why this character Swiss champed the EU and then almost took it down to be met in finals against Demir. In fourth place, we've got Chimino. Chimino has a ton of words on his card, and this is the character that I was referring to back when I was talking about Crystal Lens, of the character that gets to re-grab resources very easily by stacking them on top of the deck. Well, Chimino does that in the way of, when I spend my momentum, I add them back to my hand. So if I hit them again, I get to put them back in my hand and then play them again. So you're never allowed to let Chimino hit you because of the momentum recovery. As well as whenever I play a card with a keyword, I just give it a keyword. Or I increase the keyword, and so no, I don't get to spend my wall counters for the extra stats or extra stun. I'm just gonna give it from stun 1 to stun 2 off the gate by committing a foundation I was probably already going to commit anyways, as well as a little bit of a disruption in the -1 to my rivals keywords. It's very good. The biggest issue with Chimino is in his character doesn't do the heavy lifting. His character is what I would describe as like a duper man, and the cards inside of his deck are the super cards, but together they are super duper. So if you have a way to interact with the VMEs and the hackers and the other ways that he spends momentum in his stage, Chimino actually is kind of slow. And so that means that he does have a small amount of a consistency issue when it comes to if he just doesn't find the VMEs, if he doesn't find the hackers, this character can be a bit of a fish in a barrel when it comes to the potential outcome that he could have inside of the game. In third, I've got Nick Reagan. Again, talking 5-handers that aren't 5-handers. I have watched this character draw 5, play 5, end with 9 in hand, and be like, I don't know what to do now. The consistency of being able to splice certain attacks onto other attacks, i.e. everybody's least favorite one, True 100%, is just so potent. Splicing Spirit Gun Final onto a move that is not supposed to have the extra 5 damage or the extra 5 speed can be so brutal. Not to mention Nick's ability to give the +2/+2 is so strong, and he is such a gatekeeper, and a lot of these other characters that are lower down on the list would be higher if Nick was not quite as potent as he is. If you just run into a Nick that is just running hot, actually there isn't a character on this list that can stop what Nick Reagan is doing. He rips 10 off the top and then rips 8 off the top and then is just fires it straight down the middle. With that said, if you can disrupt him, where he does get a little lucky, I've seen Nyx remove the top 8. They were all foundations. I missed. I removed the top 8. I only got blitzes. I missed. He is manageable. He is super manageable to deal with. But it's when I play True 100 out of my hand and I rip True 100 off the top that you go, oh, this is a 30 for 30, and there's almost nothing I could do about it, and it was the first attack of your turn. All right, man. I guess I could try and deal with it. It's really tough to play against. In second place, I've got Rodan, Giant Monster of the Sky. Rodan has lost Combined Firepower, but that does not mean that he has gone anywhere. All Combined has done is made Rodans be a little more inventive with how they get the damage output. And it says that their defense is a little more real, but has to be a little more real. But as a 7-hand size character, it is very easy for you to find the defense that you need. Not to mention, looking at the top 2, possibly 4 cards at the top of your deck is incredible game knowledge. It's so much to just plan out your turn that the high level IQ, thinking through all of my plays and knowing exactly what enhances and responses to press when and where, Rodan is going to send you super far into a tournament bracket. And then for essentially free, plus X or minus X speed, saying, hey, you can't block my moves and I'm going to block all of yours. Very good whenever I've got 4 block modifiers that are really relevant inside of the meta to say that your really tall moves are going to be blocked, and he's allowed to, since his Tenacious ability is playable any number of times per turn, he can block out the wide moves. So both strategies of going wide or going tall are just kind of countered by what Rodan has got going on. The biggest issue is when Rodan does not have the correct block zone, it feels very bad partial blocking all of these moves. You partial block a ton, and then it's just over because your health total is not there. Yes, there are ways to mitigate that with things like defeating the female Titan, but there it is. And then our first place, if you have not guessed, we've got Devil Jin. This character does the game plan that we are expecting of the go tall strategy, but he also is allowed to go wide because of camouflage counter being added into the card pool, stacking and then giving pluses to our checks, adding in for extra damage. We have seen Devil Jin play out these really obnoxiously wide chains, and every time that he adds in an attack, they're going to get +6, +7, +8, and then at the very end of your chain, if you ever find a teaming with the attack Titan, you slam it down in the stage, and it's very good. Not to mention, I think the biggest piece of technology that the deck has found is just manipulations of Zeke Yeager, saying that you're not a 7-hand size character, you are more of mill the top card out of your deck, and then take this range or Titan card and add it to your hand. Teaming the attack Titan is a Titan card, and so at the very end of your strings, you play a teaming, you add it in, let's give it +7 damage. Hey, this is a 5 mid for 7 after you dealt with 3 other attacks that were also coming for half, if not more, of your life total. It's very good. In conjunction with, in Heroes of Exandria, they printed a seemingly fine card in a 3 difficulty, 3 high for 3 ranged attack that says when I play it, I seal the best foundation in your stage, as well as response flip after you play an enhance or blitz ability on any card in the game, I may cancel it. And so yes, it reduces the amount of damage the Devil Jin has, but that is not that big of a deal whenever I'm canceling your defensive tricks and I'm adding these cards in out of my discard pile for stats. They've already done their job. They've already given the stats, and they say, hey, did you have a reset? Did you have an enhance on your character? Not only can I stop you from defending yourself on my turn, but I can also stop you from killing me on your turn. In conjunction with the 35 health, it's crazy. The biggest issue that Devil Jin has is that pre-Goblin Bolt, his entire identity was played really on his own turn, where I am trying to sling as many moves at you as possible, make them massive, zone check you by changing the zone, and then being there. If you have some way to either not have Devil Jin check his bolts and slash, or remove his bolts or cancel his bolts, he is kind of a bit of a sitting duck defensively. His entire identity is, I'm going to cancel 4 things on your turn, and they're going to be high impact, and you're not going to find 35. So if you can deal with the Goblin Bolts, and you can deal with his offensive, which is very one-sided stats-wise, he just gives damage, you can deal with what Devil Jin has got going on. But man, Bolt is hard to deal with. With that said, this is my top 30. At the whole time that we were doing this, if you typed in / my top 30 in the chat, you'd have access to have a bit of a tier list yourself to see what you all were thinking. So what we're going to do is I'm going to end the YouTube video here. If you want to see the results of this, you'll have to go back and watch the VOD live and or come join me over on twitch.tv/TamCardwell as I do these tier lists monthly live to get access to I forgot to this guy shifts too. This guy's a transforming character. Goober. To get access to see what the community voted, and more importantly, vote yourself. So with that said, thank you much for watching the top 30 video. Leave your thoughts in the description or in the comments down below. Would love to know your guys' thoughts. Am I wrong? Wub, leave it down there. Let me know. Hey, no Hawks? I'm telling. Hey, let me know. What did I miss? What did I add? So on and so forth. With that said, you guys, thank you much for watching the video. As always, I wish you well.